Warm greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. This session is conducted with the support of Water Resources Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Mansi Bal Bhargav and I am currently holding the National President position of the Wiki Water Resource Council, and I am also the founder director of W4W Foundation. We are glad to do this conversation, namely Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which we colloquially refer as Blue Lips. The conversation is aimed to share the worries and the wisdom by the woman, for the woman, of the woman in the water sector. In here, we hope to learn about the water endeavors of the woman in a regular disciplined manner like a masterclass. In today's masterclass, we have Ghazala Paul, who is the founder, managing trustee and executive director at Samirth Trust, located in Ahmedabad, India. Before I invite Ghazala, let me also first share a deep gratitude and also share with every one of you. This is like fishing Ghazala for over 2 years to find her finally within the 100 sessions. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ghazala, for this time and also agreeing to do this conversation. Trust me, we are going to flow like water. But before I invite you to engage with me, let me just do a brief overview of your vast career. And I'm going to keep it very short because we want to hear more about Ghazala the woman and around it little bit what you did on water sector. Ghazala as a hardcore development practitioner with a passionate vision to create meaningful change among the most vulnerable and marginalized communities, she is committed to promoting equal opportunities and ensuring no one is left behind. Her professional journey revolves around developing sustainable water conservation practices, enhancing livelihoods in arid regions, and maintaining delicate balance of forest ecosystems. She is a trained social worker with a degree in peace and ethnic conflict resolution. She believes in universal access to entitlements and rights, irrespective of gender, ability, caste, class, or ethnicity. She has extensive experience in water conservation, forest landscape development, and inclusive programs for persons with disabilities. Her work has been with organizations like Oxfam, Paul Helm Foundation, Summit Charitable Trust, enabling her to reach the most undeserved in challenging and fragile regions of Western India and Chhattisgarh. She partners with community-based organizations to develop proposals, train them to identify and measure outputs and outcomes, and establish baseline data to track change. Driven by a relentless hunger to make a difference, she remains a passionate believer in the power of collective action and to transform life. The two last words also hits my chord as a collective action student from Elinor Ostrom. Welcome again, Ghazala, and I hope you will take this conversation happily as well as flow like water. So are you ready to take the questions from me? Very simple questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Mansi, for inviting me. And sorry that you had to wait for so long to have me. It's only that the days didn't match, nothing else,
Yes,
you know.
absolutely.
So thank you for welcoming me, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks, Q. And I feel good when women are busy and they don't have dates, to be honest. So, to complete our 100 conversations, I may have reached out to more than 500 women in the water sector because I'm taking it as a serious research as well. So, let me take you many years back, few decades back, probably. And my first question is very simple as when did you start working in the water sector, or when was that calling from inside that you belong here? And you are it's not a particular date, but then and you are willing to dedicate your life around water issues. You are a very household name in the water sector.
Oh my God, you are putting me in a tight spot. No, I'm just a very ordinary person and doing something very ordinary. Yeah, but because I'm from the social sector, I've been in the development sector. I studied, and then I worked for Oxfam. So I think while I was with Oxfam, I got to know about a lot of developmental issues. And while I was going in desert, so I think one thing which was really, really, attracted me was deserts, because I think deserts, because the communities are so resilient, in spite of there being no resources or limited resources, people are still wanting to live there, want to, find ways of, reviving their lives, their livelihoods. And there where I found that water is so important. And what happened was in 2001, then where there was an earthquake in Gujarat, in Kutch. I was there in that region of Kutch. So then there, while we were doing a relief, we were helping communities. We realized that if there's water available, a lot of lives can change, because everything revolved around water. People used to migrate, especially families used to migrate, and when they migrated, they were in such distress situation that it was actually a very inhuman condition. And the only answer to that was that if we have water in the village, we will not migrate. And that's where I felt that that is something which I need to be understanding. And then I started looking at how do we get water. And there in that geography, surface water was the only option, because the groundwater was saline, because we were working in the middle of two deserts, Big Run and Small Run of Kutch. So there surface groundwater is saline. So how do we get into developing resources which can harness more and more surface water or rainwater? So that's where the whole journey, it was around 2002-3 that I started looking at water as life and ways of, you know well-being, livelihoods. Also, when we talk of women, gender, I think it's very important, because water and women are really directly connected to each other. Because if there's no water, there is distress in the house. Women have to walk long distance, as you know, Mansi. Women have to migrate with their families. They have to take their children. There's no education. There's no good health. So all that really bogged me down. And I said, how do we do it? So that's where the whole, kind of interaction and my beginning of connecting with water started.
Wonderful. I resonate with you when you talk about it, though I have not had the opportunity to work in the rural landscape, but I can understand when we talk about water, we cannot really segregate the worries and the woes women carry, especially in the rural sector. However, in this series, we are actually tapping the women professionals in the water sector who are also concerned about women in the rural sector and urban sector, and looking at all the conflicts which arises because of the discrimination or differences. Basically, we are having a society which is where water crisis is more manufactured and manipulated, and the crisis is based on caste, class, region, and so on and so forth. And you are handling it very meticulously, I must say. But I bring you back to your life, because here we are trying to celebrate women professionals, and it is a very simple formula that are they really getting the due acknowledgement and appreciation, because they are also one woman professional probably is equal to, let me in your case, is equal to more than 5,000 women who are directly or indirectly getting motivation apart from really getting some solutions. I bring a question to you, which is a very woman or gender question when we talk about women professionals. And you may disagree, but also give me some clues. Often, women like us who have really walked the path professionally uh, tend to carry the hat of superwoman syndrome, doing everything at home perfectly, doing everything at profession perfectly, or trying to do. And also this nag, I must say, that you really want to bring a change in the society through your woman, let's say, collective. Do you carry this hat? And how do you then balance your personal life? And I see you are also very well active in social media, which makes me keep track where are you and how can I catch hold of you. But you may agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, every woman is managing all of it together and trying to find a balance to do well in all, if not perfection. I mean, especially in my age, I have given away the very idea of perfection, and that superhead syndrome is gone. And at least do a little bit. How is it with Ghazala? when she's trying to balance everything, because I really find you as one of the most inspiring women in the sector in the country. And I'm so happy to have you within the 100 sessions, because we are actually going to close the series in 100 sessions.
Wow. And I'm the 100th one, the
No,
last
you
one.
are 92nd.
Okay. So few more to go.
Few more
Okay.
to go. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think I don't think I'm firstly I carry that hat of being a superwoman. I
Hmm.
feel that I'm trying whatever I can do in my own way and in the best way possible. And of course there is a very fine balance. You know, you have to balance out your personal life, your work life, and so much, because we as person have so much of responsibility, family responsibility, parents, other things, so there is always that you walk on a very tight rope. But I think, yeah, if you have a good intention, if you really want to do something, and I think communities, their resilience do attract, and do feel like, continuing to do what you are doing. If you have that kind of a conviction, I think then it becomes much easier. But yeah, it is not easy, I must say, and people do expect you to excel everywhere, and I think being a woman is, as it's in a very we are in a very disadvantage, if you agree or not, but we are in a very disadvantaged situation, and people would always say, oh, she thinks she's, something, so always there is a kind of a kind of in the people are not very sure about us when it comes to
Hmm.
women. When you say, oh, I do this or I do that, they always look at you from with some suspicion. Why are you doing this? What is your
Hmm.
intention? What are you trying to do? So I think when I started, there were not many women in the sector. I
Yes.
started my career 30 years back when I was with Oxfam. We were the first batch of women who had come and were starting to go in the field, travel in odd hours, travel with the drivers, travel with male colleagues. Those were the very different, difficult situations, very different environment. And we had to actually, look at the societal pressure and family pressure and everything. But I think, yeah, I wouldn't say I wear a hat of a superwoman, but yeah, I know that I have to do things differently, and I try my best to do in whatever way I can. I don't say I'm perfect, because I have also made a lot of mistakes, learned from my mistakes. But I think if the conviction is strong and the vision is clear, one can keep going and one can keep achieving what one wants. So I think this is what, as you know, there is no black and white. There are
Yeah.
so many layers when you come to women, the community, the caste, the class, the gender, everything comes to a play. So in looking at all those factors, one is trying to place oneself and do whatever one can do in a little way one can. So I think that's where I don't want to I don't want to be very over ambitious, but I want to be steady. I want to continue. I want to do whatever I want to do in a very, very strong way. That's what my way of working is.
Just like, yeah, just like flowing like water. Keep flowing. As long as you are flowing, it's better.
Yes, wherever
And
you
not
reach,
be
somewhere you'll reach.
stagnant. Slow and steady, but keep doing certain things that inspires you or challenges you both ways. So that brings me to a question, because you are meeting a lot of women professionals other than meeting your women stakeholders and community stakeholders. Let me engender that part. You will agree with me that there are certain situations which women professionals, when they work, they tend to enjoy more, and there are also situations which women professionals often find it challenging to work in certain environment. How has it been with you? And I know you have a quite good youth brigade also working with you. What are the situations which women are still skeptical or find challenging to work on, and what situations they really enjoy doing? And maybe you can reflect from your experience for over 20 years.
Yeah, I think things have changed for good. I must say that there
Mm,
has been
yes,
a lot of
I agree.
openness in the society. From the time we spent when we started our journey, I started my journey. It was the society was still evolving, and women were
Mm,
still not being accepted. But I think now I feel very happy when I see a lot of young professional women who are there. You are everywhere you see, whether you are in a flight or in a bus or in a
yeah.
public transport, you see many women, and there is a hope that, women are going to be taking role. And it's not just the urban women. I also feel very strongly about rural women, women in
Mm.
the self-help groups, women in the villages taking leadership, women in the governance role in panchayat. I think there is a hope. There's still a
Mm.
hope. When we started, it was tough. I think for
Yes.
me, the journey was that, why is she doing this? What is her
Yes.
motive? Is there a political motive, or is it something else? Or, why this NGO? So I think now that I see many women professionals coming ahead. They are in the academics, they are in the organizations, they are in the corporates. So I feel good about it. And of course, this path has never been easy. This path has never been, sometimes there have been experiences where, because you're a woman, people would want to take advantage of you or something of that sort. But yeah, still I think I would say, for me it wasn't so bad. I have really flown. I think you really said it very rightly. It was like water. Wherever I got any path, I flowed with the wave. And I must say, it wasn't that difficult. Of course, there have been challenges. There have been challenges when you run an NGO. There are challenges of donors, of money, resources, getting good people in the organization. Your vision and somebody else's vision not matching. Those challenges were there, but I think not so much so, I would say. And if you really believe in something, I think it's not that difficult to achieve. That's what I would say.
You have to be really just going after your passion, and what best it can be to have a passion and profession converging. And I think some of us have been really lucky in that sense. Let me just keep it in this way. And that brings me to the next round of question to ask, from the very point we are talking about what is challenging and inspiring. You will agree, even if it is 20 years of your, more than 20 years, you see a transition. We are in a transition where women professionals are getting more acknowledged and appreciated. However, still the global standards and standards in India in terms of women professionals, I'm just focusing more on the professional side, and especially in the leadership roles, we still find men dominating decision making. And that also has an impact in the way it really boils down to the grassroots or the last mile. Where do you think the woman leadership is having a longer route to leadership? I mean, I still can say there are few women who are doing exemplary well, but globally it is 1 in 5 women professional who is water professional who is a woman, and in India it be fair even less than 1 in 10 water professional who is a woman. So leadership, even though it is a genderless or gender neutral position, we still, because there are lesser women in the bottom of the pyramid, we of course, and then women have a longer path to rise in an organization, let's say, unless and until you form your own, like you, Nafisa, Sara. I mean, for me, these three women from Ahmedabad, they really define everything for me as women leadership. But still, we are talking in general about how to have more of people like you three, as I just mentioned. And what is it stopping from women in many organizations, in many setups? I usually use a political example here. We never had a woman. We had only two women central minister in water sector. But keeping that aside, in general, or organizations, what's making the walk to the ladder of success or to the top of the organization? What is it making longer for women, or why women are not able to lead the water sector, or how can we really make it more than 1 in 10 in the water sector?
Yeah, I think one thing which I feel is stopping a lot of women, because water water is seen as a very technical, technical subject, but actually it isn't. It is very social.
Social.
It's really to do with everyday's life. And women are, see, education, it becomes much easier for women to, dwell into. But when it comes to water, it seems, oh, it's so technical. But actually, believe me, it isn't. It is more to do with
Mm.
people, with women, with children, with health, with education. Everything is connected with water. So that interconnectedness, or intersectionality, I think, is something which is not understood. And therefore
Mm.
women are little shy on getting into this area of work. That is one thing. Another thing is governance. I think starting from taking leadership, for taking leadership, you have to get opportunities. And as
Yes.
we all know, opportunities are not easily available because there are spaces which are not available to women, that's not available to not only women, but to many other, gender, caste,
Yes.
class, many things are stopping. And women then, a women from a Dalit community, a women from a tribal community, minority, you name it, and OBC, NT, DNT, there are so many layers. And these women are actually in the last rung of the whole thing, the whole pyramid. And that has to kind of, overcome. And then also the whole environment of, sometimes we see we are progressing, but sometimes we are also digressing. Sometimes we feel
Yes.
the society is also not allowing a lot of education system, lot of all the customs and traditions. There are sometimes becoming more and more kind of rigid, and that is not allowing women to, enter into spaces which are actually not women oriented. So I think that is something has to change. The whole media, how we look at, water. Water is so important. Water, everything is water is also climate change. Water is also
Yes.
environment. It is also ecology. Everything has to revolve around water. There have to be good courses around water. The education system has to introduce water as a subject, and where water can be understood, studied, because if we are going to exhaust water, how are we going to live on this planet? So I
Yes.
think seriousness is something which the from the policy level to the end mile of the person has to understand, because this is something, water is something which we cannot create. It has to be managed, it has to be conserved. So I think that is something, if we understand and we understand the science behind it, we understand the opportunities. If you're, because there have been younger generation women who come and ask me, what is my career if I study something in water? What is my career
Yeah.
going to be? Where are those jobs? So they are not so visible in the whole scenario in the wider society, and therefore everybody wants to either become a doctor or a teacher or but nobody wants to say that I want to become an water expert. Like
Yes.
recently, some of our young generation colleagues of mine, they went and studied hydrogeology from
Wow.
Kutch University, and they were very successful the way they conducted themselves. And when they got their certificate, the feedback which we got was they were wonderful. There was some, out of those 12 or 15 students, there were 3 or 4 women, but they excelled in that. So I think that opportunity has to be given. There have to be spaces, there have to be courses, because there have to be short courses, mid career professional courses. So water has to be understood. Water is something that has to be, everybody has to work towards it. And if that opportunity is provided, there will be more Gazalas and more Nafisas and Saras. I think
Absolutely.
I think that's where I always feel that, the buck shouldn't stop with us. I
Yes.
think when you and your next generation is introducing someone, there should be so many other names which should pop up. So I think
Absolutely.
there has to be an effort to do that. And I think we also carry that responsibility. It is not just that
Absolutely.
we tell someone else to do it, but what is Ghazala's responsibility to create that kind of an environment or a spaces where you have more women coming in forefront. That's what is my take.
Absolutely. We carry that responsibility, having walked that path or flown that path. And the Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water is a very small effort towards it. In 92 sessions, we have had more than 110 speakers because young people do not wish to speak alone. So we cluster them and make a
Yeah.
collective conversation here.
But
And
I must say that, Mansi, that is one way of also promoting more women to come
absolutely,
on.
I
This
was
is also
about to
your,
say that.
yes,
I was
yes.
about to say that in here we are really trying to amplify the work and the thoughts of the young people as well as seasoned players like you all. Importantly, to be a message to all gender people that there are women existing in the water sector. They have made it. They want to make it, and which can also motivate others to other women to join water sector, but also other genders and especially men to accept women leadership and women in the water sector. I have been making noise on many manners, and I say, if you need women speakers, if you need women decision makers, reach out to us at Wiki Water Resource Council, because we now have more than 100 people in the council,
Wow.
with representation from almost 20 states. We still lack many states a women representative. Chhattisgarh is one of them, by the way, so you have to find me
Oh,
women.
really?
Yes.
Oh, I
What,
can really help you out because I
yeah.
work in Chhattisgarh and you
Yes.
also are
I
from
am born there, so I can move myself to Chhattisgarh state instead of
and I also
calling
work in
myself
Chhattisgarh.
registered.
So in fact, I'm representing both the states,
So
Gujarat and
I will
Chhattisgarh.
put you in Chhattisgarh
Yes,
Council.
please do that. Please do
Yes,
that.
I think that will be a good idea, because I think when we are talking about women in the water sector, this mass that there are women who are already working. There are two things I found from my initial research, because what I am doing it through this conversation is not only just a conversation, it is also part of my scientific research with the open-ended structured question which I am asking you. Two things which has happened, that there are not enough water education. So women education is happening quite well if we look through since independence, but we lack water education, as you rightly mentioned, short courses and things like that which can help. On top of it, then there are also women who have really achieved a lot in their life, but they do not see, or they do not have time, actually they do not see the importance of talking about being women in the sector. Because the thing is, many a times people think that this conversation is about water. This conversation is not about water, it's about women in the water. And as I mentioned to you, for 92 sessions, I may have reached out to more than 500 women. And I sometimes feel from my own research understanding is that when women are not talking about their ideas and thoughts apart from their contribution in the water sector, it is a kind of also a disservice to not encourage other women to join the sector, that there is a hope. Maybe employment opportunities are less, but you create your own entrepreneurship or employment. And another thing is, again, let other genders accommodate women leadership. That's also an important agenda through this sector, that yes, women can lead organizations, they can do these things, they can go to the field. It's not a male dominated, it is not a technology oriented, you need a lot of social interaction. And even if it is technology, let it be, women can do that. I mean, we have very good examples here. That brings me to a very simple question of leadership skills. There are certain skills which are not related to gender, because leadership is a gender neutral role. There are certain skills which you grow with naturally, like inherent in you. And there are certain skills which can be nurtured. We would like to know from you, would you think that what skills are required, or how do you see a good leader in your perception? Who is a good leader, irrespective of gender? What skills they carry, and what skills can be really nurtured amongst everyone to carry those skills? And especially, we will look for women leadership, but you can tell us the skills.
Yeah, I think one is that one has to be compassionate. One has to
Mhm.
be really, really inclusive. I think we also have to learn to work together. It
Yes.
can't be, because the leaders always lead, but they don't,
Mhm.
they have to really bring in a lot of other skills. And one has to also accept certain things that you cannot do it, and you want people to have to acquire those skills or bring those skills in the organization. So I think when it's a very multidisciplinary, multi-dimensional work, and any leader, whether it's a man or a woman, they have to know that certain things I know I cannot do, but I need to have people with that skill. So I think that inclusiveness, intersectionality, inclusiveness will bring in more and more depth to your work. So if suppose in the water sector, you also need to understand engineering aspects. You also need to understand geology. You also need to understand geography. There's also a lot of now emphasis on GIS mapping and technology, apps. So there are so many things which gets interconnected, and everything one person cannot have. So I think a leader should know that and should also take support of such skills, bring in those skills into that ambit, so that the work becomes much more in depth, much more scientific, and also it also moves, otherwise you get stuck. Any leader, if they feel that they know everything and they still want to keep that themselves so tight, I think they don't open up to new ideas, they don't learn new ideas. Now there's so much of AI which is here, so many things are happening, world is changing. So one has to change again. I'll again go back to the water. The water also has to take course of the way it could be a river, it could be a small canal, it could be. So whenever you have to adjust, you have to play it by the ear, as I always say. So if we learn, if you're open to learning, I think we will embrace a lot of things. Otherwise you feel frustrated, you get stuck, you also feel that, oh, nothing is moving, because and then you always keep cribbing, oh, that those good old days. But I think no, I think there is always new things to that will happen, that will emerge, and we have to keep moving accordingly. So that should be the role of a leader. Whether and women have to be much more updated. I think being women, we always have to prove ourselves much more than
Yeah,
others.
much more.
So one has to always, I can't say no, no, I'm not interested in understanding what is the hydrogeology or this or that, or no, we always have to be open to learning newer things and bring in those elements so that the work becomes much more comprehensive.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it actually. The compassion is required, but also the urge or hunger to learn, as I read from your own bio, that we have to be open and importantly understand that we cannot do everything together, but we can take help of our colleagues and also keep them motivated. I mean, that's extremely important. And that brings me to a very simple question here about the role of, like Wiki Water Resources forming a mass or as a council trying to sit in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'm sure you are also part of some larger council, association, network. How do you think the young women who are joining the sector or seasoned players like us uh, uh, should see the role of these network councils and association? Do you think it helps them, and what kind of things they can get from these networks or platforms, and what kind of thing women should really look for and even offer for that matter? I mean, I'm going to ask you the same question. What would you like to offer us at the Wiki Water Resource Council? Because there are a lot of young people joining. So they also seek some mentorship and everything. So are you part of any other council association? Because you are still not part of Wiki Water Resource Council. Maybe I will send an invitation after this. Most of our speakers on Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water has been the council members, because I don't know any one of them. So I thought this is also an opportunity to know them, humanize the whole thing and also know them a bit more than reading their bios in the council, document. If you are part of other networks, other associations, do enlighten your experience with them. And what should a council like Wiki Water Resource Council, which is barely 5 years old, can do and make or highlight the professional women in the water sector? What's your thought on this?
Yeah, I think firstly, thank you for inviting me to Wiki Water Council, and I'm sorry that why not? I don't know why I'm not part of it. I should have been, but I would be very happy to
Yes,
be part of it.
you
But
will be now soon.
yeah, but I know about this work, and I know about because all my other colleagues and people in this profession, they who have been my professional friends, we speak about it, but formally I've not been part of it. But yeah, I think one thing which we feel is that knowledge transfer is very important.
Hmm.
And I think as professionals who are in the sector and seeing young people, as you asked, what could be our role? I think we should be doing that, knowledge transfer, motivation, what our experience is, what have we learned, documentation of work which we have learned, what went wrong, what worked, what didn't work. I think these are very, very and like I run an organization, so I have a field where people can come and see what we have done and what we have not, what we were able to do. So I think these are the experiences which have to be captured, and it
Hmm.
has to be taken forward. And I think there are many, I'm not formally into some network or something, but I do attend a lot of see, being a grassroots worker, a lot of our time goes in, field. So,
Yes,
we are mainly on the ground. We have our boots on the ground. So we are so busy. But yeah, not that formally I'm not been a globetrotter in that sense, going from one network to another network. But yeah, I was part of Aragyam, I was part of PGWM network, I'm part of the Kutch. That is in Kutch, we have a network of people who have done work on water. And so yeah, in that way, yes. But formally, I can't tell I'm part of some. Prava is one network where we are all
yes,
at. So there has been some work and some, but I wouldn't. But I feel that that is our responsibility after gaining so much of experience. I think there is that role to be played of knowledge transfer, motivating young people, inviting them to come and intern with us, keep opening
yes,
ourselves to young professionals, so that they like. Recently there were some young girls who are tribal girls who have been doing this videography. They get trained from an organization called Green Hub, and they came and when they saw that we are working in the area of water, they were doing this, they were filming us. They were really interested to understand, and some of them were interested to work with us. So I think these are the areas or avenues where one can offer our experience to others, young professionals.
yeah, wonderful. That also, pushes me to ask a very simple question when we talk about networks, and also we are talking about leadership skills and all. And you are aware that even at grassroots, there are a lot of, workshops and training programs that are organized to upskill women's leadership as well. Can you help us with some ideas on what kind of leadership programs? There are many, even in the urban areas as well as rural areas. What kind of leadership skills we should really try to inculcate in the women professionals to, especially once we find out that they are interested. But one of the suggestions which comes very often that we have to go to schools and colleges and talk about water and talk about women in water so that more women gets interested. But I'm sure one thing is that strengthening the base of the pyramid in a leadership thing, also strengthening women's presence in water. But another thing is that once we have a good mass of women, which is slowly increasing in India, what kind of leadership, trainings or workshops do you think really helps for women to upskill themselves?
I think there is a need for cadre building. It's a very,
Yes.
very strong need. And I think working with the community is the answer.
Hmm.
Anything, any leadership or anything to do with water or related to that, has to be, kind of there should be an immersion program where young people should work with the communities. They should
Hmm.
be based where the actual work happens, and that's where they will learn the social dynamics, they will learn the village politics, the governance, the women's the drudgery, the dynamics. It's a water, or anything related to water is so political. One cannot,
Yes.
it can't be so simple. It can't be so simple as you do 2 plus 2 is 4. So I think the whole process has to be a very process driven work, and it will take time and energy. So I think cadre building is very important, and working at the grassroots to learn something is, if you have a technical knowledge, even in spite of you having a technical knowledge, if you really want to understand, you will have to be kind of working on the ground to learn things. Otherwise it will become very superficial and very top down approach. So I think that's where I would suggest, my suggestion would be to look into that.
You raised an important point, especially when we talk about women professionals. We have a tendency to look at urban areas, which has been also the focus of Wiki Water Resource Council, to look at people who are formally trained in the water sector. But then, if they really want to go further in their career and also enjoy their passion and profession, immersive learning and also connecting with the community will be extremely important. It can be any community, urban or rural,
It could be
but
rural or
engaging.
urban. Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Even if it's urban, I think one has
it's
to,
important.
if even if you're a planner from School of Planning or whatever, unless you go and you see the ground, the planning will not happen because
Yeah.
water also is part of a bigger plan. It can't
Yes.
just taken in, it has to be, it has a sum of so many things. So I think,
Yes.
and especially I think urban areas also need it very, very urgently now
Yes.
because water and water resources and water scarcity is going to be a alarming, it will come in a very alarming way. So one has to, the planners also have to understand that when they are planning something, water has to be taken into consideration. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
how will we move ahead? And also other thing is understanding that indigenous and traditional methods, also
Yes.
respect the traditional culture. Because we as planners or people educated in urban educated people, we should not kind of ignore the ground realities,
Yes.
the traditional methods which have survived for hundreds of years. I think that has to be respected, that has to be understood, and if possible, it has to be renewed. And
Yes.
bringing
Absolutely.
in science and technology with the traditional knowledge is something young professionals have to learn and respect.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will keep on doing a lot of mistakes and we will not be ending up in a way we want to.
Yeah, then you put it very nicely, and also that is kind of an ecofeministic discussion often taking place because this is where water is not a technical or engineering subject, but more of a social technical subject. We can put it in that way, where in technology it can be from traditional technology to the modern, as you were also mentioning about AI. We are doing quite well in time and we are coming closer to the conversation as well. I will have two simple questions as the last round of questions. And the first question is, and this is to address the youth because we want to make a small snippet later on for promotion. So, one question is why younger generation should join water sector? What is there for them despite the fact we know that there are not enough opportunities, employment opportunities, formal positions and all. Why do you think, Ghazala, that people should join water sector? That is my first question.
I wouldn't agree that there is no opportunity. There are lots of opportunities. And I think we have to create opportunities. Climate change is just knocking on our door. And if you're looking at climate change, water is going to be a very, very important a sector to work on. So I think young people should not get disappointed. There is a lot of opportunities. It's emerging. It's coming out. It's becoming more and more, it will become more and more in the coming years. So I would urge the younger generation to really, really focus on this sector because this is a one very upcoming sector. It is whether it's drinking water, whether it's irrigation, it is connected to water is connected to so many things. It is agriculture, it is horticulture, it is so much of entrepreneurship. So much of entrepreneurship can take place. If
Yes.
there's water, newer techniques, newer ways of growing vegetables, fruits, irrigation, there is n number of opportunities. So I think I would say that that there is a lot of opportunity. There is also there is a science in this. So if we actually understand it, we learn it, and I think I'm sure there are now lot of universities we are doing MA in water. They're specializing in water. So there are universities like Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Azim Premji University, Shiv Nadar University. There are many universities which are now talking about water and doing their masters, MA in water and MA in water resource. I think there is going to be a lot of, science, even science stream is looking at water in a very scientific way, the hydrology, everything. So I think there is a lot of scope. So I would urge
Okay.
the younger generation to just think about it, make it a little. See, when we started working, everybody was saying, "Oh, what is this?" But now you see a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So you people like you, Mansi, you have got so many networks where you're just talking
Yes,
about water. Imagine how important it is to you for your life vision and mission. Similarly for
absolutely.
me. So I think there are many like us, and there are a lot of young people also. I must say that they will come, we still don't know them. They're still working.
Yes,
They're
yes.
trying out. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
I,
in next 10,
yeah.
15 years, you'll see their faces and their names emerging.
Absolutely, and our this whole series names will also pop up then. But honestly speaking, yes, it is slow, but we can see that more and more people are getting worried about it, and then they are seeking some more wisdom around water. When I mean, you remind me of my own old days in 1999, 97, 95, when I was working on lakes, and I was just laughed out. Lake is a subject to study, so now you see every other person is working on lakes, which is my main research area. Still,
Someone
at
has to start somewhere, and
somewhere,
maybe
someone
everyone
has
has
to
to
start
start
somewhere.
somewhere.
And we
Yes.
started long time ago. Feminism is now a seasoned concept. Sustainability is a seasoned concept. And water is now a seasoned concept, and we have many, many women who are working towards this. Having said that, it is still not easy. And because you talked about this MA in water, I feel really intrigued to also share on this platform that at Ahmedabad University now for nearly 6 years, we are doing foundation program where everyone coming out of school in that university, they go through water studio, and then they move on to their bachelors in law or bachelors in management, bachelors in engineering, bachelors in technology. Every student at Ahmedabad University goes through this water program, and I think the very idea is quite inspiring, because then everybody doing different subjects later on will have water in their mind.
Yes. In fact,
They
in
may
one of the
study any
studio, I
other
was a
subject.
speaker, Mansi.
Yes,
I
I
was
am
I
aware.
was speaker in one of the water studio, and there were then girls and boys who came and worked with us in Kutch.
Yes, I am
They were
aware.
there.
Yes, some
So
of
I
them I
think, yeah,
sent also.
that,
I
yes,
sent them as well to you
yes.
as
Thank you so
as
much.
a
So I
teacher.
think we are
So
open to having young people
absolutely.
working with us.
Yes, it's so
Yeah.
much required, and I think tapping them at that young age also makes them more sensitive. And doesn't matter, you don't have to have a degree in water, but even if you are studying law, technology, if you are water sensitive, water requires all kinds of experts. We really don't need only water expert. I mean, it can be a law expert working towards water, or climate change,
Yes.
or gender, or women. Everything is interlinked. That brings me to the last question from my side, and that's about what simple behavioral change we must bring at home, at work, to really ensure that we call it scientifically as engendering the water sector, but putting it in simple way, that woman feels more motivated and belonging to the water sector, and they can excel. Simple behavioral change amongst all of us.
I think water should be used judiciously. We should not waste water. Something very simple, I would say. And also try and see that how we can recycle water. That is another area where we can, as human person, every person can do that. We can do some small changes in life, not waste water, not use it very judiciously, recycle your water, whatever, wherever you are, if you can harness rainwater and utilize it. So that I always say that the water in the ground or aquifer is our FD, and the
Yes,
rainwater is our recurring
current account.
current account. So let's use the recurring and save the FD for our future generation.
Okay,
That's-
wonderful. I think I need to convey the question more easily. Simple behavioral change amongst us. You answered for water conservation, and my question will be then simple behavioral change where we can really bring more women in the water sector. What kind of behavioral change we need in the workplace where women feel safe, where women feels comfortable? What are the things we must do as women leaders, as male leaders, women colleagues, male colleagues, family members, so that women really are getting into the water sector? Then they can climb the ladder of leadership.
yeah, one should provide them an opportunity, firstly. Also make the environment so conducive, make it more friendly. Women, provide them with some extra facilities if required. that will help them, like you can always have crash facilities, or if woman has a small baby or a caretaker, or create that kind of environment that everyone is welcome, whether it is any gender also, we have to also go beyond that.
Yes, absolutely. I feel
And
sometimes that I'm speaking too much about women, but then it's a research. I have to limit myself.
yes, yeah. So I think that opportunity, that openness, and also sensitivity, because things will change if we are going to create a little smaller opportunity and play spaces. I think everybody will take that opportunity. Otherwise, we are closing our doors. So I think we'll have to open our doors and be more flexible.
So more flexibility is definitely required for younger women who are getting into the sector because they have career, they have marriage, they have children, they have to adjust in new environment. These are extremely important to take into account. That brings me to the end of my questions, but it also opens an opportunity for you to ask me any question if you have. Please ask me simple question related to women in water or related to women leadership or what we are doing here. And I will also now open the floor to for people if they want to ask question to you. We can also have one or two questions from here. I'm seeing people are watching you live also on YouTube, so if they are hearing me, and I will also check if they put any question in the chat box. So meanwhile, they are thinking, if you have any question for me, you may please ask.
No, I think I would say thank you very much. And you have been talking to so many women. I think if it's almost going to be 100 in few weeks, I think there's such a rich experience which you have gathered. So if
Yes,
there could be a kind of a little consolidation of that experience, and if it could be shared at some platform, it would be
absolutely.
interesting for all of us, who have, because anyway we are still in minority,
Yes,
women and water. So let us also bring in that kind of synergy where though whoever little limited women we are, whoever, wherever, if we can also share each other's experience, and if you can bring in some kind of consolidation which we can have an access to, it will really
absolutely.
help us.
Oh, thank you so much for this suggestion because we are already working on three things. All these conversations, first of all, are available open access and through YouTube channel. And then second part is we are planning to do a compendium of all the women whom we are documenting about their biographies. So when after this interaction, there are young researchers who are trying to write little scribbles. So basically, sheroes or water sheroes, we can call about it, or just water workers. Simply, I'm calling it hydropreneurs. We will have that coffee table book available hopefully sometime soon. Once we complete 100, we will stop this conversation and just focus on the writing part of it, which we are already writing. That's second part. And third part is actually we will have a dynamic Google map which is also available for 75 women. We already made it public. So
Okay.
in there, if they click Mansi or Gazala, they will get to know little information from your LinkedIn and all. But at least there will be a map of India where you can just click women in water sector and you can find their distribution all over the country. And clicking them will also make you available their whereabouts, including if they agree to share their contact details. So
Oh,
that map is already available for 75 women. And do keep watching our wiki.wrc, which is Water Resource Council, social media platforms and all. We have not formed an independent website for Wiki WRC because there is a mother platform for Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is Wiki. In there, we sit there as Water Resource Council because there are other councils as well. Personally, as a researcher scientist, I am more inclined that we come up with this compendium inspired by what CV and UNDP and Government of India did during the COVID time. They made a compendium of rural women leaders. We are trying to make a compendium of professional women leaders. We are not naming it urban or rural, but definitely that's in the agenda. Hopefully, once we complete early 26, we will take a year and a half to put everything together and then come up with a book, which will be also open access, not for sale. So to available, it is still there, but we will make it more, I actually wish that this whole series is taken by the Ministry of Jal Shakti or Ministry of Women Development. That they just should adopt this series and take it for themselves. It should not be limited to Wiki Water Resource Council. It should be available to
Exactly.
everybody.
I do agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't want to own it. It is for everyone and it should be available to everyone. But right now it is limited to my YouTube channel, which I am not so happy about, but we have no choice. We have to start somewhere. But I am open for anyone to take this up and, just own it. It's everyone's thing. निखिल हैज सम पॉइंट. निखिल, आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट करके बात कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम एक्चुअली एनकरेज करते हैं कि लोग हमारे स्पीकर के साथ बात करें. तो आप अनम्यूट करिए और अगर वीडियो खोल सकते हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. हम चाहेंगे वुमेन लेड साथियों को, आप जैसे गुणीजन की सहायता की जरूरत है, उन्हें भी आगे बढ़ाया जाए ताकि वे अपनी समुदाय के लिए बेहतरीन कर सके. आपसे हम बहुत ज्यादा सहमत हैं और क्या कह सकते हैं. ये एक मुहिम है, मैं बोलूंगी एक चेष्टा है, जिसमें कि हमने कोशिश किया है कि जितने ऑफिशियली और फॉर्मली एजुकेटेड वुमेन सेक्टर में और जो वाटर सेक्टर में काम कर रहे हैं, हम उनको ला रहे हैं एक साथ. कहीं ना कहीं शुरुआत करनी थी तो हमने शुरू किया है. आई होप 90 सेशंस और 100 सेशन से 100,000 सेशंस बने और बात करें. हमारे लिए ये कॉन्वर्सेशन बहुत ज़रूरी था, क्योंकि जब तक हम बात नहीं करें बाकी लोगों को पता नहीं चलता है कि दे हैव वर्कड इन. आई मीन ऑल स्पीकर्स का अपना एक नेटवर्क है, वहाँ वो काफ़ी एम्पलीफाइड है, उनको सब जानते हैं. बट सारे एक्सपर्ट्स को एक जगह ला के एक नेटवर्क बनाना, इट इज़ लाइक नेटवर्क ऑफ नेटवर्क्स. तो अगर हम गजाला को जानते हैं तो हम और भी यंग गजालास को भी जान पाएंगे. यही हमारा कोशिश है. सो thank you so much, Ghazala, and thanks, Nikhil, for asking this question. We will continue with Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water and until the 100 sessions, and we would like to close it, as I mentioned, to make this compendium, and also because my tenure as a national president is ending this December, I really wanted to finish the 100 sessions within December, but hopefully early next year. Thank you so much, Ghazala, for this enlightening interaction. I really felt the conversation was flowing like water, and therefore I enjoyed it. I hope you also felt the same and enjoyed this conversation. May you remain may you remain an inspiration to others, and we are so grateful to have learned about your water endeavors. May you also continue your water activities and do keep us posted. I look forward to you having joining Wiki Water Resource Council. We shall continue our Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water for few more sessions when we find more women to speak, and we will take this conversation further into another level, hopefully. Do keep watching our social media platform for regular updates. And for now, thank you so much. Please take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.